Good morning and welcome to Real Talk with Claudia. I'm your host, Claudia Ellis of Claudia's Decor. Today we are diving into a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and that is your mindset. So we're talking about growth versus scarcity mindset today. And if you don't know what that means, let me share with you a little bit about what I've learned. This is not going to be just a motivational talk. This is actually psychological. This is behavioral. This is patterned thinking that affects how you run your business, how you respond to other people, how you handle success, how you interpret community, and how you move through relationships. And a lot of people don't even realize they're operating from scarcity. Let's dive in. There's actually a psychology behind this. Scarcity mindset is tied to something called lack-based cognition. What this means is when your brain believes resources, opportunities, relationships, success, or attention are limited, you think narrow. Your thinking narrows so much. You stop seeing possibilities. You start scanning for threats. You become reactive instead of creative. So when someone around you launches something, gets attention, starts growing, creates something similar, gets opportunities you wanted, your brain doesn't calmly say, "That's interesting." Instead, it says, "Am I losing something? What if there's not enough left for me? What if I get left behind?" And fear changes behavior. So let's share a little story. There are two designers and they're watching the same live. So two wreath makers are watching the same live. Same design, same techniques, same opportunity to learn. One says, "Well, there it is. Everybody's going to start making that now. That's ruined." And she shuts down, pulls back, gets irritated. She adapts. Okay, gets irritated. The other one, here we go. The other one, "That's interesting. I could learn from that and create something completely different." She leans in. She studies. She adapts. Same exposure, same moment, different internal response. That response, that's mindset. So think to yourself, are you the scarcity story? Are you the one that looks at something and if somebody made it before you did, say, "That's ruined, I can't make that now"? Have you ever thought that? You don't have to answer, but think about it, okay? Or are you the lean in type? The one that learns the technique, the one that figures out how to put their own spin on it and create something similar but more you. So that's something only you can answer, okay? So that's scarcity versus growth mindset, okay? Scarcity always looks like fear, okay? Here's the dangerous part. Scarcity doesn't always show up looking afraid. Sometimes it shows up as judgment, irritation, control, distancing yourself, constant suspicion, comparison, competition, division. And sometimes it shows up as a group behavior. Sometimes it shows up as a group behavior. If you are always looking to see what everybody's doing, and then you're judging that, your initial response is judgment. I can do that better. Who do they think they are? Why do they make me feel that way? It is scarcity mindset. It's a scarcity mindset. Irritation. Why do you allow yourself to feel so strongly over somebody that you don't even know? That you don't even know. Guys, even though you watch people on here, even though you spend time in their lives, do you really think you know that person? Do you really think that you know the person you are watching? There are a lot of masks out here, folks. They're one way when they're live, and they're a completely different way outside of their live. Okay? So don't think that you know somebody just based on what you see on a screen. Okay? Don't think you know somebody. There's a lot of judgment out there. And there's a lot of, oh, I know them. I know them. They think that they're better than everybody. All because they won't do what you do. They don't think the way you think. They don't want to participate in the things that you want to participate in. That doesn't make them bad. That makes them different. And everybody should be allowed to show up different, to show up in the comfort of who they are and how they feel. Okay? So don't get so irritated by the people that you don't even know. If you do not like being around that person, you don't need to go off and share it with the whole world either. Just don't watch them. Don't be around them. You have that choice. You have that ability. Everybody has a swipe capability. Everybody has a walk away capability. Be your best selves. Show up the best way that you can. The world is very, very, very lonely. Don't be a person that causes more division. Be a person that causes more people to come together. Okay? Because we are all made differently, but we all have a purpose. We all have a giftedness. We all have something special about us that we can bring to any group we are in. You don't have to like everybody, but understand that your dislike of somebody shouldn't be a reason why other people should be on the same canoe you're on, okay? Because let me tell you, the things that you feel about someone else that hasn't done anything specifically to you, that's a problem. That's a problem that you need to deal with. Not that that person needs to deal with, that you need to deal with. So stop that whole, hey, you can't watch that person, you can't support that person because I don't like that person. That's ugly. Okay? That's ugly. Okay? Just because something happened between you and somebody else and you can't talk about it with that person doesn't mean you need to gather everybody up in a corral and be like, let's get some whoop going. That's ugly. That's not kind. That's not kind. Okay, so you distance yourself. Just remove yourself. Just remove yourself. It's really, really okay. It's really, really okay. And be mindful. Be mindful. That gut feeling that, this isn't right. This doesn't feel right. Listen to that. That's your intuition. That's your protection. That's what you are given as a human being. When you feel something's off, it's off. It's off. So be mindful. Be mindful, because the comparison, competition, division, that group mentality that they can't have because I don't have, and I don't like them, and I don't want to be around them, so come over here. Guys, that's elementary school stuff. That's elementary school stuff. Don't do that as an adult. That's silly. That's crazy. Let's move on. Okay? Herd mentality and social survival. Are you ready? What people don't realize is human beings are psychologically wired for belonging. So when people see someone being excluded, talked about, pushed out, isolated, or treated differently, the brain immediately starts thinking, I don't want that to happen to me. So instead of asking, was the behavior actually wrong? People start asking, what do I need to do to stay socially safe? That's herd mentality. That's survival psychology. And it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere. Think about it. It happens in schools, churches, friend groups, business communities, creative spaces, online groups. It happens everywhere. Nobody is safe from that. It's that social psychology, the survival psychology. If it happened to them, I don't want it happening to me. Okay? The girl outside the circle. Here's a story. A group of women stood together talking one day. One woman was suddenly outside the circle. Nobody asked questions. Nobody slowed down. Nobody examined the behavior. Why? Because subconsciously, everyone else thought, if I stay connected to her, I might become the next target. So people distanced themselves, not because they understood the truth, but because they feared social rejection. And adults do this all the time. When you need to pay attention. Let me say something important. You do need discernment in life, because eventually you have to stop asking, why does this keep happening to them? And start asking, why does this keep happening around them? Because patterns matter, behaviors matter, character matters. And one of the most dangerous things you can do is ignore repeated behavior, okay? Because someone is charismatic, funny, influential, popular, spiritual, creative, convincing. Because manipulation does not always come in an ugly package. Sometimes it could be wrapped up in victimhood, emotional storytelling, charm. People always do me wrong. Everybody turns against me. Meanwhile, there's a trail behind them. Mature people learn to observe patterns instead of only reacting emotionally. So remember, manipulation isn't always wrapped up in an ugly gift packaging. Okay, they could be charming. They could be convincing. They can tell you a story about how everything always happens to them. And nobody asks why. Nobody asks why. What did you do? You know, what is what you do? There's a person that gaslights people constantly that everybody adores. That everybody adores. I don't get it because I'm the one that gets gaslighted, right? And nobody's the wiser. Nobody's the wiser. It was very interesting to me. But I'm grateful that I am no longer associated because I can remove myself. I can remove myself. I don't need to be part of that. I don't need to be part of that, nor will I. I call it out. I call it out. I'm like, this is yuck. This is yuck, and I don't want to be a part of that. If you can't talk to me and you use your platform to say stuff that I know is about me, that's ugly, guys. Remove yourself. Distance yourself. Get away from that. Don't be in it. Don't be watching it. Don't be looking for it. That's just nuts to me. Why would you keep exposing yourself to that? It makes you like them. Don't stoop. Don't go down a level. Just stay away from it. Walk away from it. Remove yourself from it, okay? Why people ignore red flags. There's another psychology. The concept is called cognitive dissonance. That's when your brain sees behavior that doesn't match the image you want to believe about someone. So instead of adjusting your opinion, your brain starts explaining away the behavior. Well, maybe they didn't mean it. Well, maybe there's more to the story. Well, maybe someone else is wrong. But eventually, if smoke keeps showing up, you have to stop pretending there isn't a fire somewhere. Healthy people pay attention to patterns. Unhealthy people explain them away forever. Okay? Unhealthy people explain them away forever. Okay? Is this hitting with anybody? Is anybody feeling like they see this kind of stuff? How many times have you watched, like even, especially like people that you watch online on a regular basis, where you see that all of a sudden what used to be normal, the people that used to support, the people that used to, go along together are no longer supporting or no longer talking or no longer doing, and you go ahead and you have assumptions. You assume what you think happened. You do. Or here's the other thing that you do. You go seek anything that you can find, any kind of sign of information that you can go and figure out. Why are we like this? Why are we like this? Guys, don't celebrate breakups. Don't celebrate split ups. Don't celebrate not supporting people. Don't celebrate that. Don't be part of that. Okay? Because honestly, if it happened to someone, it's going to turn around and happen to you too. It's going to turn around and happen to you too, because that's what happens. That is what happens. If somebody in your circle doesn't stop the ugly, doesn't call it out, doesn't show you that there's a different way, that you don't have to participate in all that garbage, that supporting who you want to support is okay, what are you doing? This is not high school. This is not school-aged situations. You're adults. When are you going to start acting like an adult that has her own thoughts, their own feelings, their own decisions? And if you have the psychology of, I better not support them because I don't want that to happen to me, then you know what? Then you're part of the problem. Your scarcity mindset. That's scarcity mindset. Okay? So do you. I encourage you to do you, and if you're okay with that, then that's something you got to deal with. If you're okay with that mentality, if you're okay with thinking something bad about somebody because of what you heard, because of the words that were shared, or what you saw, be careful who you're listening to. Be very mindful of who you're listening to. And if something doesn't feel right, it more than likely isn't. It more than likely isn't, okay? All right, so boundaries. Are we setting healthy boundaries? Are we setting boundaries that we say, this is okay and this is not okay? This makes me feel unlike myself. I don't feel right talking about this. Or when somebody's sharing gossip with you about somebody, do you lean in? Do you want to hear? Do you want to hear what big, bad, mean, old whatchamacallit did to so-and-so? Do you lean in? Or does it make you feel some kind of way and you're like, you know what? I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to know that. I'm sorry whatever happened with you and them, but that's not my story. That's not my experience. Which one are you? Are you leaning into the gossip? Are you leaning into the rumor? Are you so afraid of not being celebrated or not being supported here in an online space because of what they did to that person? Guys, show up authentically. Show up authentically. People will see through the garbage. People will see through the garbage. Okay? Because you can only fake certain things for so long. And this right here, this is a stage. This is a stage. When's the last time you watched somebody and you felt like that person's real? That person is real. They say what they say. They mean what they say. They follow through with what they say. They show up the way that they say. When's the last time you've seen that? Right? You have to wonder. You have to wonder. Am I feeling something because something's not right? Something doesn't feel right? And this is also not somewhere to vent. Oh my gosh, this is not somewhere to bring your dirty laundry. This is not somewhere to, because everybody's going to interpret what you say based on what they know. And a lot of times what they know isn't the whole story. It just isn't. Because unless you have both sides, because what do they say? There's two sides to every story and somewhere in the middle is the truth. Right? Because everybody has a different perspective. Everybody has a different perspective. They're coming from it from a different angle. Okay? So understand that not everything is as it seems. And give people a chance to show you who they are. You'll figure it out. If you truly want to have a relationship with somebody, have it. Don't worry about who doesn't like them, who had a problem with them. All personalities aren't meant to hang out and do the thing. Okay? Some people can't even be honest with themselves. Some people have told themselves a story for so long that they can't even be real with themselves. They don't even realize that they gaslight people. They don't even realize the things that they do and the excuses that they make based on what they do. And when you're called out on it and you can't even be like, oh yeah, that I do that. You're right, I do that. I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I feel that way. Come on, self-reflection. Self-reflection. It's good for the soul. It makes you show up in places better. Okay? So boundaries. Not everything is scarcity. Boundaries are healthy and they're for you. Boundaries protect you. Boundaries are good for you. If you have a boundary and you say, this, I do not accept this. This is not comfortable for me and I can't accept this. I can't show up this way. And if you choose to continue doing blank, 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 I can't be around that. And follow through. And follow through. Boundaries doesn't make you mean. It actually makes you kind. Because if I know how I need to show up to have you in my life, then why wouldn't I respect that boundary? Why wouldn't I want to do better around that boundary? It's really okay. Now, there are some boundaries that make you feel some kind of way. There are some boundaries that hurt you. And I get that. I get that. And that's okay. Your feelings are valid. But it doesn't change the need for the boundary. It doesn't change the need for that boundary. Okay? Access to someone is earned. You get access to people because of your character, your integrity, your honesty, your authenticity. Okay, so that's earned. You earn access to people. You shouldn't expect to have access to people just because you join a group or you pay a membership or you love bomb somebody. That's not good. And just so you know, The more people try to wiggle their way into access, the more that your little senses should be up, because there's definitely a not so good intention behind that. There's a not so good intention behind that. And I've had to learn that the hard way. I've had to learn it the hard way. Discernment matters. Discernment matters. If I could type that on my forehead and remind you constantly that you have that inner voice, you have that ability to feel when something's off, you have that ability to know when something doesn't seem right, when something isn't matching, when somebody makes you feel like you need to pull away, like that's not safe for you, listen to that discernment. Listen to that discernment. That's your protection. That is your protection. And it's important. You need to protect yourself. Nobody is going to save you. Nobody is going to save you from the decisions that you make, with the ways that you show up, and the ways that you choose to pitchfork with somebody. Do not destroy people in other people's eyes. It will turn around and slap you in the face. Your battles, the battles that you have with others, those misunderstandings, those constant people don't get you, all of those things that happen to you is your protection. It's your protection. There is a serious battle going on to break relationships. Families are getting broken up. Marriages are getting broken up. Friendships are getting broken up. Businesses are getting broken up. There's something to that. Okay, so if we don't say enough is enough, I'm done with this scarcity mindset that everything is evil and everything is wrong, you're going to be stuck in that, and that's all you're going to see. You're going to miss the good in the world. You're going to miss the good people. You're going to miss the relationships that you could have based on people that God is putting on your path to get you to that next level. So don't be so sour that you miss the sweetness. Okay? And if you know that that's you, if you know that that's something that you're dealing with, I highly recommend you pull yourself away. Stop listening. Every time that negative thought comes in, replace it with truth. Replace it with real. Replace it with something other than the negative. You have to do that for yourself. You don't want to be sour all the time. Think about the things that you think most. Is it kindness? Is it sweetness? Or is it sour and judgment? Is it ugly? Only you can answer that for yourself. You do not owe everybody your time, your energy, your trust, your access, your business information, your emotional space. That's not scarcity. That's stewardship. That's stewardship. You don't owe that to everybody. Okay? Here's the difference. Scarcity says, I'm pulling away because I believe there's not enough. Boundaries say, I'm being intentional about where I invest myself. Okay, that's a hard boundary. Okay, you're being intentional about where you're going to invest yourself. The guarded house, let me tell you this story. One woman locked every door. People copy. People can't be trusted. Everybody is out to take. Eventually, she isolated herself so much that she also cut herself off from growth. Another woman had boundaries too, but she chose intentionally who had access. She didn't let everyone in, but she also didn't live in fear. One lived guarded and one lived intentional. There's a difference. There's a difference. Boundaries are healthy. And if ever there's been somebody who had a boundary and it was hard for you to accept it, it was hard for you to see it for what it was, that's a you problem. That's a you problem. That's not a them problem. If they have a boundary, it is for them. It is not because of you. It's what they need. And you need to be mindful of that. You need to be mindful that if people have boundaries, if they tell you, I'm not okay with that, that's not how I want to be in this relationship. I don't want to talk about other people. That's not healthy for me. I don't want to be part of that. And you don't listen to that. That's on you. That's on you. And people will say, but what if it's something good? It's a segue, guys. Talking about things good about people is always a segue. If you can talk good, that means you can talk bad. So don't do it. Just don't do it. And if you have something good to say it to that person. Say it to that person. Why do we save everything good we have to say about somebody till they're no longer here? What's your eulogy going to be? Have people said enough to you about how they feel when they're around you? What they think about you today? Pay attention. Pay attention. But it really is okay for you to have boundaries. For you to have boundaries, stuff that you won't participate in. If it means that you have to walk away from a group of people that are sharing about stuff that's none of your business, skedaddle. Because the last thing those people want to hear is you come in and be like, can we talk about something else? Because all of a sudden, you're the target. You become the target. How dare she come up in here and tell me I can't talk about this, that, and the other? I'm just sharing. I'm just talking about what happened. Yup. And yeah, I did make a face and a voice about that. Because it's ugly. It's ugly. Do you want to be talked about? And you know the saying that goes, if they're talking about me, that means they're not talking about somebody else. Ew. Ew. Gross. Don't be part of it. Healthy people leave quietly. Just listen, okay? Just listen. Not everybody who walks away is wrong. Not everybody who creates distance is toxic. Sometimes distance is healthy. Hi, Debbie. But healthy boundaries do not require a campaign. Healthy people don't need to recruit others to justify their decisions. Let me repeat that. Healthy people don't need to recruit others to justify their decisions. Mature people leave quietly. Manipulative people gather an audience. That's a hard truth. That's a hard truth. Your environment shapes your thinking. Hey, Tootie Bee. Your environment shapes your thinking. Your environment matters more than people realize because what you constantly listen to eventually becomes your internal belief system. In your circle, okay, if you're constantly listening to nobody can be trusted, everybody copies, there's not enough, watch your back, your brain starts scanning for proof. Your brain starts scanning for proof. But growth-minded people ask, what can I learn? How can I adapt? What opportunities still exist? How do I continue growing? That's a growth mindset. Okay? Growth mindset doesn't mean you ignore problems. It means you refuse to let fear become your identity. Okay? I know you do, Julie. I know you do. All right, so in one room, everybody says, be careful. Don't trust anybody. Everybody's shady. And in another room, people said, learn from it. Adjust. Keep building. There's always another way forward. Both groups work hard. But one group stayed stuck in fear, okay, while the other kept growing. Which one do you think got stuck in fear? You will not do your next best thing because you're afraid somebody's going to copy you. So let's just take it off the plate. Let's just wipe it off the plate. Somebody will more than likely copy you. Okay? So what? They're not you. They're not you. That makes the difference. You cannot be copied. You cannot be copied. People can talk like you, act like you, want to be you, but they can't be you. It just doesn't work. It actually looks dumb. How many times have you seen somebody talk like somebody else? And you're like, they're sounding a lot like so-and-so. They're even picking up some of their catchphrases. And mind you, the crazy part about that is when you watch somebody a lot, you do end up sounding like them. But be mindful of that. You don't want to be a copy. You want to be an original. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to stand out. Okay? So stop this scarcity garbage that you're listening to. Okay? If somebody's always pointing out negative stuff, do you really want to hang out with that? Do you really? Because you become what you listen to. You become what you surround yourself with. Guilty by association. You guys have heard that saying, right? If you're hanging out with people that have a scarcity mindset, you're going to pick up on that scarcity mindset. Haven't you always heard that if there's more of that than there is of you, like let's say you're a positive person, okay, one positive thing going into a negative environment, you're going to absorb. You're going to be absorbed into that, okay? So you need to be mindful. You can't change others. You cannot change others. You can't. No matter how positive, no matter how uplifting, no matter anything, if that's the mindset that is in what you're hanging out with, it sucks you in. It's sticky. It's absolutely sticky. You know what you just gave me the vision of, Julie, is the oh gosh, I think it's a weed. They're little spiky little prickly things. Oh my God, I almost said a bad word. They're little prickly things, and you walk through them and they stick on everything, like anything from the knee down, you have all of these little prickly things. That's what negativity does. It sticks to you. Okay? But if you are, let's say you do have a scarcity negative mindset, like you're aware that that's what you have, and you try to get in with a bunch of positivity, okay? Because you're like, I struggle with this. Let's just say that everybody in your work environment or everybody in your family or whatever is always negative, so that you don't even realize how much that impacts you. But then you start hanging out with a bunch of positive people, and then you start thinking positive things, And then you start seeing things that were before normal for you, and now you're like, oh, that's really negative. That's really not how I should be. It reminds you of wet velvet. Ew. Positive energy is light and fluffy. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yes. So don't let your brain guide you. Guide your brain. Like, be mindful of it. You know, point yourself in the right direction that you want to grow. Don't be the smartest person in the room. Okay? And don't ever say this. I hate this saying. I really do. You make me feel dumb. How? How can I make you feel dumb? Because I ask you questions? Because I want you to really think about what you're saying and what you're doing? I make you feel dumb? Listen, if I'm asking you questions about your mindset and why you think that way, it might be because I'm seeking to A, understand, or B, maybe I want you to explain it so that you can hear it yourself. Because sometimes when we hear ourselves, we can actually self-regulate, right? It's not a bad thing when somebody can be a mirror for you. It's not a bad thing when somebody can be a mirror for you. We need mirrors in our life. We need people to see what we can't see in ourselves. We need that. We need mirrors in our life. Guys, if somebody is saying something to you that's making you feel some kind of way, please look deeper. Please look deeper. Okay? They're saying it to you because they see something that you don't see or you don't want to see. Okay? We have people that are placed. We have people that are placed in our life so that we can be better. So we can be better. Okay? We don't want to live stagnant. We don't want to feel like everything is against us. We don't want to feel that way, but we have some fixing to do. We have some fixing to do. So please be a bright light. And if you can't be a bright light, let somebody else light your light. Let somebody else light your light. Because we are meant to do life together. We are meant to do life together. But we also have to be mindful about how we're showing up. We have to be mindful about how we're showing up. All right. Growth mindset doesn't mean you ignore problems. It means you refuse to let fear become your identity. Please listen to this. Please listen to this. I want people to grow, but I also want people to be honest with themselves. You have to be honest with yourself or you won't grow. Or you won't grow. How many times have you looked at yourself in the mirror and asked, why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? There's a reason. There's a lesson. There's a lesson. Guys, we have to be open. We have to be open and think of others as important. And think of others as gifted. And think others are special. And here's why. Just because I don't understand it, just because I don't agree with it, just because I don't support it, doesn't mean that that person isn't valuable. It doesn't mean that they don't have something to offer. Everybody isn't meant for everybody, but kindness is free. kindness is free, and you can be that bright light for somebody. There are so many hurt people that are hurting others simply because they're not willing to own their own words. Catch yourself. Catch yourself. You can feel anything you want to feel. Nobody's telling you you can't. But there's no reason why you need to share that with anybody. And if you can't talk to the person you have a problem with, then maybe you shouldn't be talking to anybody. Someone doesn't have to be wrong for you to be right. Exactly. Exactly. Growth mindset is not soft. It requires emotional maturity, self-awareness, accountability, discernment, adaptability, the ability to pause before reacting, the willingness to heal instead of project. Because growth-minded people understand someone else succeeding does not remove your opportunity. Someone creating something similar does not erase your creativity. Someone else being supported does not diminish your value. Growth mindset people ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of, who can I blame for this? The mirror and the window. One person spent their life looking out the window. Look what they're doing. Look who's succeeding. Look who copied. Everything was external. Another person picked up a mirror. What can I improve? Where can I grow? What responsibility belongs to me? One watches, one evolves. So let me ask you honestly, where are you reacting instead of responding? Where are you operating from fear instead of intentionality? Where are you allowing other people's bitterness to shape how you see others? Where are you ignoring patterns because you want to believe the best? Where are you isolating yourself instead of growing? This conversation is not about pretending everything is positive. It's about recognizing the patterns that either expand your life or shrink your world. Protect your peace. Use discernment, set boundaries, pay attention to behavior, but don't allow fear, bitterness, suspicion, or groupthink to turn you into someone who constantly lives scanning for enemies. Don't do that. Because eventually, if you listen to fear long enough, you start borrowing. This is what happens. Other people's insecurity, other people's suspicion, other people's division, other people's bitterness. Until one day you wake up operating exactly like the thing you said you never wanted to become. Move with clarity, move with wisdom, move with integrity, move with emotional maturity, and keep growing, okay? keep growing. Next week on Real Talk, we're talking about something that I think a whole lot of people are struggling with right now. Hustle culture and the lies of hustle culture. The pressure of constantly producing. The guilt of resting. The feeling that if you slow down, you're falling behind. We're going to talk about the psychology behind overworking. Why so many creatives tie their worth to productivity. And how burnout quietly starts affecting your business, your relationships, your peace, and even your identity. Because building a business should not cost you yourself. So I'll see you next week for Real Talk. And trust me, this conversation is going to hit home for a lot of people. And thank you for joining me today. I appreciate your time. And again, this will be posted up on my YouTube. And I'll see you guys next week.